Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to draft the pattern for a elastic waisted pant. So if this look at what's interested in, definitely watch this video to the end. To begin, just like the title, we are going to be making a pattern for an elastic waistline pant. Okay, so we are going to be making the together elastic waistline and the band elastic waistline. All right, so this pattern, you can use it to make your short pants or your long or your joggers, anything you want. So first of all, we are going to go ahead to leave 4 inches from the top of this pattern paper. We're going to leave 4 inches. Okay, so we are going to know why we are leaving these 4 inches later on in the video. So this is the waistline. So from there we are going to be taking all the measurements we need. So let me label this the waistline before you continue. This is the waistline, right? So from the waistline we are going to take down, we are going to measure down our flap. Okay, and because this is an elastic pant, I'm going to use 10 inches for my flap. Okay, so normally when I'm making a corporate pant for myself, I use 9 inches, but because this is a free pant, I decided to use 10 inches. If you want it to be a lot freer, then you can add up to 2 inches to your normal flap. Okay, so let me just measure 10 inches here. All right, so I went ahead to measure up my flap. This is because we are working on a paper. Working with your actual fabric, how to get your cut, your fold for your fabric, because you're going to fold this fabric into 2, right? So how to get a fold in your fabric is by dividing your thigh measurement by 2 and adding 1.5. Okay, so but because we are drafting it on this paper, I did not say anything about that, so just take note if you are drafting direct on your fabric. Okay, so here is the flap from the waist, right? From my waist to my flap, this is what I have, and then from that same waist to the full length of this, I have 14 inches. Then I'm just going to leave it at the end of this paper so I get the folding allowance. Okay, so I'm going to mark this 14 inches, which is the full length of this paper of the pants we are making. Okay, so I'm going to be drafting a short pant, but if you want to make a long pant, you can actually use the same method, just make the pant longer. Okay, so this is the waistline, this is the thigh line, and this is the full length. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do now is to determine our hip measurements, and to get our hip line, we are going to go up by either 2.5 or 2 inches from your thigh line. Okay, this depends on how tall you are. All right, so for this I'm going to be using 2.5 inches. So this line here is our hip line. Okay, so having gotten all this, the next thing I'm going to do is to start working on the pant itself. Okay, so remember that this is a flap measurement. Remember that this is your thigh, right? Means what you have to do on your thigh measurement is divide your thigh measurement by 2. Okay, you're going to divide your thigh measurement by 2. So what is my thigh on a regular pant is 25 inches, but because this is a free pant, I'm going to use 27 inches. Okay, if you notice, I added 2 inches extra because I want this to be free. But if you want yours to be extra free, you can add up to 4 inches depending on how bogus you want your pants to be. Okay, so on the thigh line, I'm going to divide 27 by 2, which will give me 13.5. I'm going to mark 13.5. So for that, I'm just going to extend our thigh line, our hip line as well. I'm going to just extend all the lines we have here. This is the half of our thigh measurement. All right, so having gotten this, the next thing we are going to do is to take our hip measurement. Okay, so normally we are going to divide our hip measurement by 4, and my hip measurement on a normal ground is 38 inches, but because of this pant we are going to be using 40 inches. Just like I did before, I also added 2.5. Okay, 2 inches, sorry. So Just like I said, you can make this as big as you want. So on the hip line, I divided my hip line into 4, and what I have is 10 inches. So that is what I mark here. Okay, so on this hip line, using this 10 inches, you're going to measure that same thing on the waistline. All right, so having gotten that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the both dots with a straight line down to the thigh line. Okay, so this is what we have, and this is what we have as our thigh divided by 2. Okay, so note that we divided our thigh by 2, but we divided the hip and the waistline by 4 inches. Okay, I know we haven't done anything on the waistline, and we are going to leave the waistline like this. That is because we are making an elastic gathered pants. Okay, so if you are making a pants that is supposed to have a belt that is not elastic gathered, you are going to measure from inside here out. Just divide your waist measurements, then put the measurement. Always remember to add your 1 inch sewing allowance, then you connect. But because we are making an elastic gathered pant, so we don't need to do anything on the waist. Once we've gotten the hip measurement, we're going to extend it to the waist, and then this is what we'll have. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is on this angle here. Remember, we'll have an angle here. On this angle, we are going to go out by 1 inch. Okay, so this is where we want to connect the thigh from, the thigh curve from. Okay, so like this, I'm just going to connect like this. Okay, so this is what we have. All right, so this is what we have for this. So let me just use a marker to quickly draw out all the necessary lines we are going to be cutting from. Okay, so this is what we have. This is our flap line. This is the curve. So we are going to be cutting along this curve, and then for the hem of this pant, you can decide to just go down straight from wherever your measurement is. Okay, remember that this is a free pant. You can decide to just go down straight, and this is a short, remember. So this is what I have here. Okay, but for instance, you're making a pant, you might want to go in on the lap line by 1.5 each on both sides. Okay, so let's assume you are making a long pant. On the thigh here, you're going to go in and out by 1.5 inches on both sides, so that when you connect like this, it's just going to have a little bit of curve on the lap line. I hope you understand this. Okay, you're going to have something like this. Okay, but because I'm making a short and because I want it to be free all the way to the hem, I'm just going to use this straight line that I have here. Okay, that having been said, let me just make this a lot clearer. Okay, so this is the waist we are working with. Okay, so at this point we are done with this particular pant. What we are going to go ahead now to do is to cut. Okay, but before we cut, let's talk about these 4 inches that we left here. All right, so for instance, you're making a pant and you want the band to be together with the pant. Okay, you don't want to add a band, because if you go ahead and cut this part out, right, this is the front part. If you go ahead and cut this part out, we are going to be adding a band with the elastic on the waistline. But if we add this 4 inches, when the time comes for us to add the elastic, we're just going to fold in using 2 inches, right? So we're just going to fold this over and then have our elastic attached to it without having any joining on the waist part. I hope you understand this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to extend this line. I already did it before, so I'm just going to make it a lot clearer with a marker. All right, so this is what I have. I just extended this line, and that's just it. Okay, so the main thing to know here is you're going to add 4 inches or 4.5 inches, depending on how wide your elastic you plan to use is, before you make your waistline. So even if you are cutting your direct fabric, what you just have to do is to leave this gap, then you go ahead and draft your pants. Okay, so by the end of the day, when you are through with joining everything and when it's time to add elastic, what you just do is just to fold in the 2 inches or 2.5, depending on the size of the elastic you're going to be using. Just fold it in and you're good to go. Okay, so for the pocket, depends on the kind of pocket you put in. You can go down from the waistline. Note I'm marking from the waistline, not from the extra we added on the waistline. So just go down by 1 inch, and then from that 1 inch you mark out to 7 inches, which is the standard measurement for an adult pants. Okay, so at this point we are through with the drafting. We're just going to go ahead and cut out. So this is what I have for the front of the pants. I'm just going to go ahead now and cut the back. What I simply did is I introduced a new pattern paper and I pinned the front on the fresh pattern paper. Okay, so if you notice, I left some space on the side. This is the shaping side and this is the flap side. Okay, and also on the top I left some space. Okay, so this is because the back is supposed to be both wider and longer than the front. Okay, I will explain. For the back, you know, we have the butt at the back. Okay, we have the butt, and the butt occupies its own space. Okay, for the back, so the front is going to lay flat, while the back, when the bum has taken the whole space, is just going to be equal with the front. Okay, so for the back, the back is going to be longer than the front with 1.5 inches. So on the flap side, remember that this is the flap. On the flap side, which means the center of the pants, I'm going to go up at the back by 1.5 inches. Okay, and for the side, we are going to leave 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this other side. I hope you understand. So I'm going to come out by 1 inch on this side, and I'm going to go out by 1 inch on the other side. Okay, making a total of 2 inches. And for the flap side, I'm going to come out by 1 inch from the front flap. Okay, I hope you understand this. I'm going to come out by 1 inch from the flap side. Okay, so when I've gotten this, I'm going to connect all the dots. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, all right, so having gotten this is the 1.5 inches we went up by. I'm just going to connect it back to the shaping side. Okay, so you have to make sure that the shaping side is equal, because it's not going to look okay after you are done shaping your pants and you find out that one part, the front is shorter, or the back or the front is longer than the back. Okay, so you have to make sure that on the waist side they are both equal. So this is how I'm going to end up joining the back. Okay, so this is what we have. This is what we have for the back. Okay, and here also we are going to curve this part. Okay, so at this point we are done with the back. We are simply going to go ahead and cut out. So this is the back and this is the front. Okay, so let me label this the back. Okay, so with this we have come to end of this tutorial. Okay, so this is just the tutorial to show us how to properly draft out our elastic waisted pants. Okay, so if you have watched this level and you are yet to subscribe, please hit the subscribe button. Also give this video a thumbs up so it get pushed out to other people that might need it. Okay, so at this point, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.